brave calculation, hashtag Trump must pay. And the Iranians have launched this social media campaign against Donald Trump where they're calling him like the Epstein leader or the Epstein president, and they've been mocking him with these AI videos. And meanwhile, you have Caroline Levitt, Donald Trump's chief propagandist, saying that ABC's story that Iran poses a threat to the United States is absolutely false. Caroline Levitt said, this ABC story should be immediately retracted. It's unverified. And she says, to be clear, there's been no such threat from Iran to our homeland ever. It never existed ever, she says. Well, that's quite an admission because weren't you saying that that was one of the pretexts for the war right here? And just so you see what's going on in the region, we've been pointing out how ships in the Strait of Hormuz have been blown up by the Iranians, how oil depots, whether it's Bahrain or UAE and Kuwait and Iraq, have been targeted by the Iranians. Here's what's going on in Kuwait, just so you can see right here, as these kind of residential areas where it's believed that there may be American military presence or just commercial centers are being targeted by Iran. Let's just watch this briefly.
This is from a drone. It came in from across the sea out there. Just across the sea is Iran. And look at all the debris you can see on the ground down here. This has all come out of this civilian apartment building. This is what government officials tell us. Civilian apartment building. 2 civilians injured here, been taken away for treatment. Multiple attacks on Kuwait last night. Attacks on the air.
Let's bring in Democratic Congressmember Jimmy Gomez from California. Congressman, these things that we're seeing, it's horrible to see, but these were all things that were very foreseeable. These were things that Trump was warned about by people like you and people in Congress and by his military leaders. He was warned about this from these Arab nations that now want security guarantees from Iran, not from the United States. Trump was warned by NATO. But Donald Trump, just one night was like, you know what? Netanyahu's calling me up and saying, I guess he's going to attack Iran first. So I guess I've got to do it as well. Let's do it. No one was prepared. Our State Department wasn't prepared. The Arab nations weren't prepared. And this is the result. What do you make of it all, Congressman?
I think it's a complete and total mess. Everything from his justification of why he launched this attack, why he launched this war, has shifted. Not in the first 72 hours, it was regime change, supporting the protesters, going to knock out nuclear and ballistic missile capabilities, even though his own intelligence shows that ballistic missiles weren't going to be able to reach the United States until 2035, and that Iran was not actively pursuing nuclear weapons. Then he said it was about retribution. Then it said it was because they needed to retaliate against Iran before they hit us, because Israel hit them first. All of it is just out of control. And the reason why this is a big deal, because if you don't have a clear mission, then how do you know that your strategy and your tactics are going to achieve the goal that you set out? And if you're completely lying to the American public, then how are you going to be able to rally them to support any conflict that might be necessary in the future that is more a defensive war? This is a war of choice. He's lied to the American people. There's no exit strategy. And then he's downplayed the risk. We knew from the very beginning that people could die, or men and women in the universe can die, but also hundreds more could be injured, sustain brain injuries, and have life-altering incidences where they ended up being crippled or ended up being damaged so that they couldn't live their lives normally in the future. So this is a complete and utter mess.
And, Congressman, we're used to seeing propaganda, come out of the White House, and there's varying degrees, of it. But like what we're seeing now, this propaganda is also like so cartoonishly bad and evil at the same time that like the lies are so easily exposed. And I just feel like it just makes America internationally just look so much weaker right now.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that is you can't build a coalition of the willing when everybody thinks that you're lying about what you're trying to achieve and how you can actually get it done. You can't bullshit your way out of a war. It is something that occurs in real time, and then the consequences of that war is something that everybody feels. Everything from high gas prices, the shutting down of the Strait of Hormuz, the fact that they're using ballistic missile interceptors to basically shoot down these missiles, then all of a sudden you don't have those weapons for other areas of the globe. So you can't bullshit your way out of it. It actually is. It's comical, but at the same time deadly. We've lost 7 individuals currently. More than 150 have injuries, and people just don't trust this administration to follow through, and that they're giving it to them straight. Not only our allies, but also our adversaries.
Right. And when you watch Donald Trump's speech in Kentucky, and he struggles to put together sentences, and he says we won the war, and that there's no danger in the Strait of Hormuz, and that this is great. You know, look, that still may play to 30% of the population here. And Donald Trump has Fox, which basically functions as a state regime media here. Lots of other corporate networks have, been kind of co-opted by Trump and MAGA. But like internationally, this is playing not just bad, but like atrocious. And everybody's looking at his speeches and just the way he's talking and the way Hegseth talks. We're going to rain down terror and death and lethality. And people are from, whether it's the NATO, Asian nations, Arab nations, they're looking at this and saying, this ain't it. I don't know what the hell this is. This stuff's demented. We've been used to it, Congress. We see it every day. Yeah. Now in this international, they're like, this is demented stuff.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely. One of the things is that they ruin the credibility of the United States. Your allies start questioning your word. They actually question your motives. They question if you're doing it to protect them or to protect the pocketbooks of the Trump family. And it also puts into question what happens if something happens in their region, in Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. Is the United States going to step forward? Or are they're going to continue this kind of belligerent behavior that we've seen? Everything from talking about taking over Greenland to the stuff that's going on in the Caribbean and Latin America. That's what people are concerned of. Yes, we have the largest military on the face of the planet, but how you use it matters, and undermining people's trust and the word of the United States makes everybody worse off. And it's going to be expensive, not only in money, but also in lives.
And that brings us to domestic issues, because if you and I were to do this interview before February 27th, America was already suffering. Yeah. You're a Congress member from California, Los Angeles area, but the entire country's suffering. Healthcare being ripped away, prices surging, people unable to find jobs recession. I mean, there was a lot of things that were going on already. Now you add this, and it is it really is unprecedented. I know sometimes that word is thrown around, but like, we are truly in unprecedented, catastrophic economic times. And unlike some past great recessions or depressions, this one was fully man-made, manufactured by Donald Trump and MAGA, gift-wrapped with a middle finger to the American people.
Yeah, absolutely. This president said he was going to end all foreign wars, that he was going to put America first, that he was going to reduce the cost of living, that he was going to drain the swamp. He became the swamp. Republicans are the swamp in Washington, D.C., backed up by billionaire backers and the establishment now. And they basically said to the American people, we don't care how much we spend on a Middle East war, and we don't care how much you have to pay for it. We're going to keep going because it's in their interest. It's in the Donald Trump interest to continue. And that's what's insulting. It's not only the fact that they're spending so much money, but it's the fact that he campaigned on it. And there's people within the Republican base are saying, what happened? Why? It's no longer MAGA first. It's Trump family first. It's the billionaires first. It's the status quo that gives him more and more power and more money. That's what's first, but not working class people in this country.
Congressman, one of the things that, you're also focused on a bipartisan basis as well, is the Congressional Dads Caucus, which I also just think is a very important initiative as well. Because what I try to talk about on the show is just doing our best to exhibit qualities of leadership and, focusing on things like family and everything, like just being a good dad, which also means being a good mentor and setting the right example. And so much of what I see, frankly, from the Trumps and the Hegseth, to me, is just anathema to just being a good person. Like the policies, as we talked about, catastrophic, but like, let's be decent humans to future generations. And I think one of the initiatives that deserves more attention is the Dad's Caucus on the initiative, because it's like, let's be good fathers. So before we go, talk to us about that.
Yeah, the Dad's Caucus, there's about 50 members now. We have everybody from Ruben Gallego and Andy Kim to Brad Schneider and Stephen Horsford and myself, and also Rashida Tlaib and Brittany Pedersen. And what we're saying is that we can't just be against something. We have to be for something. We can do it both. We're going to fight Trump every step of the way. We're going to call out his hypocrisy and his lies, but we're going to say, you know what? If we take power, this is what we're going to fight for. And one of the things we're fighting for is making life affordable. Making sure that people can actually buy a home, raise a family, afford childcare. And then if their parents suffer from old age or from a stroke or something, that they can actually afford to take care of them. Because that's what we're dealing with. American people don't want to see billions of dollars spent on foreign wars and supporting other governments. What they want to see us is to really fight for the American people and restore confidence that the government can actually work for them. And that's why we're on the 17th of March. We're hosting the first ever national summit on the caregiving crisis, because we want to say this is what we're going to fight for. Caregiving, paid family leave, affordable housing, housing that's affordable, all of it. Because we need to do something that just not what we're against, but what we're for.
Congressman, appreciate you so much for joining us as always. If everyone knows too, go back, 4 years ago, Congressman Gomez was on the Midas Touch Network when I don't think we even had 1 million subscribers. I remember doing that. I think I was still a practicing lawyer at the time and I was in my office doing an interview. But anyway, thanks so much for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.
And everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MidasPlus.com.
We are learning more today about the Iranian drone attack in Kuwait that killed 6 U.S. service members last week. And the details suggest that the injuries to U.S. service members from that attack are more severe than previously revealed. According to CBS News reporting, dozens of troops suffered, quote, injuries including brain trauma, shrapnel wounds, and burns. At least one may require the amputation of a limb, and more than 30 military members remained in hospitals Tuesday night. That kind of reporting underscores how crucial the journalists covering the war and the Pentagon are, especially at a moment like this. Yet Pete Hegseth's department is intensifying its restrictions on journalists. After Pete Hegseth appeared at a press briefing last week, 3 days after the initial strike from Iran, his first appearance at a briefing since June, photographers were banned by the Pentagon. Washington Post reports that, quote, several outlets, including the Associated Press, Reuters, and Getty Images, sent photographers to the briefing from Hegseth and General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. But after they published photos, which have broad reach because they are licensed by publications globally, members of Pete Hegseth's staff told colleagues that they did not like the way the secretary looked. Pete Hegseth